Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're running a little bit late, so just let's start. You know the drill. So let's start a press conference.
What are the rules, Edward? Either raise your hand in the participants or put your question into chat.
Yeah, they can. You can raise your hand or use the chat on the. It's delayed. Sorry.
I don't actually
have
a chat function, so I don't. So you'll have to get raised hands.
I raised my hand, but
Ava. Edward is frozen. So Ava, please go ahead.
Well, obviously I have to ask you about what is going to happen with this resolution, and if you could give me a reaction as to what Mr. Peterson did. He just wrote in his Twitter that that the board was trying to approve some sort of an adjustment without negotiation. I have to see the Twitter again. I don't remember it from the top of my head. So I just would like to know what it's really going to happen and with that deal. And I need a clarification as to whether you will be able to submit a term sheet or a debt adjustment plan along with the disclosure statement by February as the judge requested. Because I read something in the papers about Mr. Skill saying that it was going to be done before. So, but I am not sure. So that's it.
Well, I'll jump in initially, and then maybe Natalie can jump in, or Anna. So I'm not sure what you're referring to about saying when things were going to be done. I think I have said that I think it's really important to move forward, that it is time for Puerto Rico to emerge from Title III, and we should really be marching forward with that. It takes a while to do that. In my view, the most optimistic timeline would be sometime in the first half of 2021. If everything went very smoothly, it certainly wouldn't be possible to confirm a plan before that, because there are a number of steps you have to go through. So even under the best of circumstances, we're not going to be confirming a plan immediately. We have to propose it. There has to be a disclosure statement. There has to be a hearing on that. There has to be a hearing on the confirmation. So it's a ways off, but I think everyone is of the view that it's really important to move forward, and it's time to head in that direction. We obviously have somewhat different views about what's possible and what's not possible, but I think everybody shares that objective.
Do you need to have a fiscal plan before another fiscal plan? Because I remember in the hearing, Mr. Bienenstock mentioned that there would be a possibility that in order to do a new sort of amended adjustment plan, you also needed a new fiscal plan that might be needed. Do you think that's the case?
We have to have a fiscal plan in place to do a plan of adjustment. We do have a fiscal plan in place, and the plan that we were discussing today at the meeting is based on that plan, and we believe that a plan along those lines would satisfy the requirements of PROMESA.
Next question, Daniel Cagoto.
Yes, hi. Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're clear.
Great. So what happens if Peterson keeps dropping out of these meetings? Are there other ways to approve the plan? And if not, what happens then?
The short answer is we need 4 votes for a quorum to have a quorum for the purposes of making any official decisions, and then any decision from there on is made by majority vote. So we need to have 4 votes. I'm hopeful that that we will have 4 people at all of our public meetings for all of our decisions going forward. You know, it's also possible that there'll be new appointments to the board and more board members, which would make that easier. But I'm optimistic that we will move forward and that we'll have vigorous debate and that we'll make decisions. But we need 4 members for a quorum to do that.
But if there's no quorum, you know, and maybe, you know, a lot of time goes by before new members are appointed, then what are the consequences of that?
It means that we wouldn't be able to make formal board decisions. So anything that we're already doing that the staff can do, we continue doing. We continue negotiating with creditors. We continue implementing the fiscal plan. But anything that requires a formal vote is not possible unless you have a quorum. And so decisions such as to file a plan, to approve a fiscal plan, those require that you have a formal board vote.
Right, but what are the dangers then of not being able to do that in the time frame that the board visualizes?
Well, as I said, I'm optimistic we will be able to do it. We made a bunch of decisions today with no difficulty at all. It was just one decision at the end that we didn't have a quorum for. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to revisit that decision soon and we'll have a quorum. But as I said, the fact is, if you don't have a quorum, the board can't make formal decisions. And so anything that requires a formal decision, if you don't have a quorum, you can't do it.
Next question, Salud Santana, Metro. Next question, Salud Santana, Metro. Salud? No? Luis?
Yeah, okay, I'm here. I'm sorry, I was muted. Just quickly, hi, Mr. Chairman and Jaresco. I just wanted to ask, beyond that Mr. Peterson left the meeting today, what is your expectation of a possible approval of this plan of adjustment, taking into account the changes that the board has submitted, and obviously the deadline imposed by Judge Swain on this matter?
I'll say a word about that and then see if Natalie wants to say more. We think that this is a plan that makes sense. It is, in our view, as generous as we can realistically be, as I think was apparent at the meeting, that there are some risks in the plan. If savings we're not expecting don't materialize, that will be a problem in the future. But we think it is a very fair plan. And it really is a step forward. It provides a little more protection for pension beneficiaries. It also provides a major upside to creditors. Creditors have been of the view that we're too pessimistic in our projections. If that turns out to be, if they turn out to be right, they would get more under this plan because of the contingent value instrument we've put into it. So in my view, it's a very promising plan. Obviously, there's a long ways to go. We haven't formally filed it at this point. There are lots of discussions we have to have with creditors, but I think filing it would be a major step forward. Natalie, you may have more to say. Good.
Yes, hi. I have like 2 questions on 2 different topics. First of all, on the issue of vacancies at the board right now, I just want to be sure if you have received any information at all from the White House, or in terms of like fulfilling the vacancies. And also a question to Mato Santos on this topic. What is your expectation? I don't know, I believe she's here. Yes. What is the expectation of Mato Santos in terms of—
The dog's out.
Please, can you mute?
So I'll say a word before Anna jumps in, and maybe Natalie as well. We don't know, or I don't know what is happening in Washington. I don't know what the timeline is for making decisions. I don't know where it currently stands. My view personally is simply that we keep pressing ahead. You know, we're the three of us who are original members of the board are more than 1 year over our original terms. We've been in holdover status for more than a year. So if, as I said at the meeting, if we waited for more appointments to do anything, not much would get done for the people of Puerto Rico. So we're really just marching forward. And I wish I knew when things were going to happen in Washington. I don't.
Andrew Scuria.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, Anna, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm still missing Mato Santos' answer, and I have another question on the education topic. So,
I'm with David in terms of, you know, we're continuing to serve until determination is made, and I don't know the status. And I'm sorry because I have to drop off for another commitment at 11. So thank you.
Thanks, Anna.
Luis, go ahead.
All right, and the last question is on the education thing. I know that you guys approved the retaining this advisor on the payroll and attendance systems, and you mentioned something on the adjustment on payment checks beginning in January, and I'm not sure what does it mean. If it's that if people were overpaid during this time, you guys will, you know, adjust something beginning in January. I mean, like what does payment checks adjustment mean in the context of education?
You're on mute, Natalie.
Andrew Biggs has also joined the press conference, just for everyone's knowledge, and Ana Mato Santos had to drop just now. So in terms of what I meant by January, I meant that the system should be automated and tested and fully communicated and trained, everyone trained, such that they're implementing a mandatory time and attendance on the Chronos system, and it is connected to payroll such that in January, if an employee, I'll use the most extreme example, passes away and is no longer filling out time and attendance, their paychecks in January should automatically be stopped because they're no longer filling in time and attendance.
Next. Andrew Scuria, please.
Hello. My question is just why do you feel it's productive or constructive to push ahead with a plan of adjustment and continued negotiations when apparently there's not a quorum or a 4-member consensus on the terms that you've put forth, and by all indications there's going to be additional turnover on the board in pretty short order? I'm just a little confused as to why the decision to push ahead given those two circumstances.
I can start just by saying that we're constantly talking to creditors, and we're constantly having conversations about the most recent proposals they've made, the proposals we've made. And so the unusual thing would be for us not to push forward. I know obviously at this point, we're not stepping forward in the formal process. We will not be formally filing a plan until we have a formal decision by the board to approve the filing of the plan. But Puerto Rico has been in Title III for over 3 years, and it just seems to me it would be a huge mistake just to stop at any point. It really is time to move forward and for Puerto Rico to get out and to come up with a plan that is confirmable and is sustainable for Puerto Rico. And as I said a minute ago, I'm optimistic we'll be able to do that. We have some differences on various things, but I think we all have the same objective, and the objective is to get out of Title III.
I'll just add that it's not like today was some unique event. The only thing that was unique about it is that we, in agreement with everyone else that's been asking for some time to bring these conversations out into the open, did it in the open. But this was just the next step in something that's been ongoing. Again, in fact, we were in mediation as agreed with the board with a specific proposal that the board had previously agreed to. And we were just moving forward with the next step. There was nothing special nor anything different about moving forward at this time. We moved forward with 7 members. We moved forward when we had 6. We moved forward when we had 5, and we move forward now with the 4. It's been a constant process, and there have been no stoppages other than when, during a hurricane or right after, the change in the economy, we went through the fiscal plan process, but it is constant, and this is no different.
Michelle Kasky.
Hello, thank you for this presser. I have a couple questions. I'm trying to understand because there wasn't a vote today on the last item. Does that mean that yes, you can still talk to creditors, negotiate with creditors with this plan that you present, this proposal that you presented today, or does it mean that you could not start another round of mediation with creditors? And then the other thing I was going to ask is, I'm trying to get, and I'm sorry if you guys have already gone through this, but I'm trying to understand what exactly the board was going to vote on today in terms of filing or moving forward, and what changes Anna was asking for. What specific changes was Anna asking for?
So let me start by saying I'm actually not clear myself whether or not we have authority to move forward with a new mediation round or not. So I'm going to have to leave that for, we just went from one meeting to the next. And in terms of informal conversations, we continue those, and we have authority to continue them on the basis of where we were prior to today, which is what you saw in the blowout that happened on September 30th, because that is the last position the board took. So we remain there, not here. That is the last position that the board authorized discussions on.
Okay, so even
so we will continue on the basis of that. And in terms of what happened at the end of the call, Michelle,
yeah,
to be honest, I'm not sure that everyone would align in their understanding of what happened, and I'm not going to try and figure out who was trying to do what. The proposal was to immediately commence negotiations on the basis of this proposal through the mediation process immediately. First step. And file the plan of adjustment as soon as possible, as soon as practically possible. And I think Jaime, our counsel, made very clear that that authority meant we could only file if after the discussions we were substantially in the same place, that it did not provide any authority for the team, for the staff, for me to file anything that was substantially different than what you saw today and what the proposal was for. So it was a 2-step process, not a 1-step, but a 2-step. Immediate commencement of negotiations. Literally, I had hoped this afternoon, this evening, whatever, tomorrow, in the mediation process, with an aim towards filing the plan of adjustment on this basis as soon as practically possible. And had those negotiations come out with some other proposal, we would not have the authority to file. We would have to come back to the board and present that mediated proposal to the board. Jaime, I see you've joined. I apologize. If you want to answer that, you're welcome.
No, that's correct. As you said, a 2-step process. We would not have had the authority to file a plan if there had been any changes on the basis of the negotiations, and moreover, but of course, if at some point the decision was that the negotiations were going nowhere and they had quote unquote failed, then you would be filing a plan on the basis that was discussed today. But it was definitely a 2-step process. A precondition to any filing was commencing and engaging in good faith responsible negotiation.
I don't believe, Michelle, that there was any disagreement between the 4 board members on the fact that immediate negotiations had to take place. I think there was a misunderstanding, and I think it all moved a little quickly. I don't believe any of the board members believed that anything should be filed without an immediate return to mediation. And I hope that I'm accurate in my understanding, and that will be resolved within the next days.
Okay, so I just want to make clear, as of right now, you can still have informal talks with bondholders, but you cannot use the proposal that you showed in the meeting today. You'd have to use other numbers.
In particular, I cannot use a CBI.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
For what it's worth, this is just Andrew Biggs here. I apologize for getting on late. I'm dialing in from the West Coast, which meant it was an early morning, and I had to go get some more coffee. Regarding what happened on the meeting today, I mean, I think it was unfortunate. I regret that it happened. I don't think that the change that Ms. Matasantos was proposing would have dramatically or materially altered things. But on the other hand, though, you know, I think Mr. Peterson's only leverage was the quorum. So I think that, yeah, there might have been a fear of, you know, if things just go quickly, you know, we vote something through, that his only way of having any leverage was to drop off. So I think it's partly just the circumstances of how that played out and the options available to people. For myself, I would have preferred to keep the language that we had so that we could have kept Mr. Peterson, you know, in the meeting and you know, hopefully have his support as well. But I would hope that this is something that we can try to, you know, get together and hash out in the very near future, so we can move ahead with the sorts of discussions that everybody wants to have.
Let me just completely agree with what Andrew just said. I would have liked to move forward with the language we had, and I'm hopeful that we can revisit that very quickly and have the formal authority to move forward.
Michelle, I'm sorry, Michelle, the last point I'm going to make is you know, I feel I have the authority to go back to mediation, but I have nothing more than what I was mediating with before, which ended up in a blowout. So I think, you know, we need to have another board meeting.
Thank you.
Osman Perez, primera hora.
Well, you partly have answered a question that I had, but I just want to go over it because for many people that may not understand all the technicality, economic technicalities, what we saw was a chaotic ending. And I know you had said you're optimistic and you will move forward and everything, but there was this clear division there while you were discussing. And what the question would be, would the work, is the work of the board on jeopardy after this clear division, these positions that you have with Mr. Peterson that led to this abrupt ending? Or what's going to happen after all what we saw? Because that's what the people will see is a member clearly in disagreement, leaving the meeting, and we don't even know what's going to happen next.
Osman, I think what can happen next is for us to continue functioning just as we function. Again, we had a series of decisions taken today. I have no doubt that we can have another board meeting as early as next week to take additional decisions as needed. And a great deal of authority lies to do the daily work that we do right here at the board. So people should not in any way be concerned or jump to conclusions. I think about what happened. There have been disagreements amongst board members before. So I don't want anyone to believe that this is the first time there's ever been a disagreement. There have been disagreements in public that you have heard about, and there have been disagreements behind closed doors that you may not have heard about. It is natural for people to disagree on things of importance. And I think, it is not fair to assume that this will have any effect kind of on going forward of our ability to work. I'm hopeful that it will not.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Thank you all.